Kirk Jensen, right here, and John Fram. Kirk Jensen has been in the business now for 10 years, servicing 300 golf courses across Canada. Jensen has established itself as a strong leader in the betterment of golf services through technology. Jensen's long-term vision is to improve their products through continuous customer interaction. They are a progressive company, actively soliciting feedback from golf courses to meet and exceed the changing needs of the industry. They are the developers of the software and thus encourage feedback and have the control over the upgrading and improvement of the software. John Fram, those of you that don't know, prolific player, won everything. Played in the Canadian Open, and he's a great player and a credit to the golf industry. So without further ado, I'll change it over to them. With the size of the group, it's probably going to be great because everybody, Kirk's going to let you guys have some hands-on with the computer, develop your own little scenarios. I'll turn it all over to them, and with the group being almost half of what it usually is, you guys can feel free to give them lots of questions. And like I said, they've got a good program, but it'll only be as good as what you guys participate in. So without further ado, our guests.
Polite applause. Okay, my name's Kirk, and I'm not as good a player as John, but I've been golfing for a long time. I'm a 6 handicap, so I know a little bit about golf as well, not just computers. How many here have had experience with computers in their own pro shops, or what they're using? Kids, most have. Is it usually what, point of sale and handicapping that you guys are using more? Okay. Has anybody here had experience with a tee time package, which is basically what we're focusing on here? Okay, and which packages were those? Do you know who they're made by or what the name was? Which golf course did you come first?
St. Charles.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's the Sloan one? Yeah, that one. And yourself, was it the one you input into the computer? Yeah. So if you have any feedback as well, like anybody has any questions during the presentation, make sure that they participate, because like Ray was saying, it's only as good as you're going to participate. So if you have any questions at all, make sure that you voice yourself. And John, he's used our software now for, how many years, John? 7 years. Unbelievable. Like John, it's interesting, like, I don't know if you have a little bit of a resistance to computers, but you have to make sure you get rid of that, because computers are coming into management, into the pro shops now. It's almost becoming mandatory. I know when we first put this system into Devon with John, his password, you get 5-letter passwords. The first 4 letters of the password were a word I can't say, and the other one was you. Because John didn't like computers at all. And now John is one of our biggest fans. So you can learn to have the system help you, and they're going to be in the golf course when you are out there as professionals and assistants. Ray wanted me to talk about the 2 types of systems. The first type is you've got the telephone system, and we've all done that. Press 1 if you want to go to help, press 2 if you want to make a booking. You guys all done something like that? Did a booking down in the States, they have those a lot. That's the one main type. And the other type is where you talk to the phone. It goes ring, ring, you go, hello, hi, I'm John Smith, I'd like to make a booking. And you're actually putting the booking into the computer while you're talking to the individual. Okay, so those are the 2 basic types of computerized systems that you can have. The pros and cons, there's pros and cons to both systems. For the operator, we'll call it the operator assisted and the touchstone booking. For the operator assisted, pros are you're actually having a personal contact with the individual, and therefore you're establishing a relationship. When you get out there, service is the biggest thing in the industry, right? Everybody's pushing out the service because of competition. You want to start building relationships. So what you're doing when you're talking to them on the phone is you're getting some sort of a relationship built up. So later on, the guy says, hey, by the way, do you guys sell pink putters there? Do you guys have this type of clubs or this type of bag? So as well, not only doing the bookings, but you're selling the golf clubs and the services of all that you have. So that's the big advantage. The other one is you can confirm that the information is correct. So you can read it back to him. So the guy makes a booking. John was saying, he was telling me this morning that he was doing a booking and 10 o'clock, 4 of them. Then the guy says, that was for Saturday. You got that in there for Saturday, right? And John's looked at the calendar where he was doing the booking at the computer, and it was on Sunday. So John realized, oops, I'll just rechange this booking, switch it over to the Saturday. So we can always confirm. You don't want to lose tee times, and you don't want to upset people when they're doing their bookings. So you can confirm that, yeah, this was the time, this is when you're playing, this is for how many. Okay, so that's the big advantage as well. For operator types. Some of the cons for that type of system is that. John, do we have any cons for that type of system? The type we sell? I think there are only positives for that system. I guess one of the cons is that it's taking up one of your staff to always maintain the system. All right, so somebody's having to do the bookings. So instead of maybe doing lessons or something else, he's got to be taking the bookings from the individuals. The touchstone systems. The cons for that, well, what's the pros? Because again, you don't have to have the manpower. You're just having that one person doing well, you're just having the system do everything. You don't need anybody at all. It's just a computer that sits in a room and answers the phone and takes the bookings from the individual by the way he's touching the phone. Okay, so pressing 1 for help. 2, they do a booking. Okay, so they press 2 for a booking. Then it says, what day would you like to play? What month? So the guy would press in 11, so now he's booking in for November, let's say down in the States. What day? You press 22, so he's pressing on November 22nd. What time would you like between what and what? You can go between 7 and 9, and the system will go look, and it'll repeat back to him some of the different bookings that are available. The con with that type of system is that the guy says, geez, I made a mistake. It wasn't the 22nd I want to play, it was the 21st. How do I back this stupid thing up? So now he has to go backwards, and he's sitting there punching all these keys, and all of a sudden he starts branching off into different menus. And he's starting to get frustrated, and he just says, the heck with it. There's always a system where you can go like press 0 for operator assistance. But again, with the market being like it is, very competitive and very, very busy, you don't want to be losing people like that because you don't know how many times you're going to get a second chance. Another con with it is the older people aren't comfortable with technology. They don't. Even putting it, like we sell handicapping software, a lot of people don't want to put in their scores for the handicapping because the older people don't like computers. I think if they press this button, it's going to send a rocket ship up to Russia, and it's going to blow up part of the United States or something. They're just very uncomfortable with technology. Another thing is, I guess if you're not comfortable with it, it takes a long time to do a booking. And if you're dialing long distance, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, and then you got to go backwards because you made a mistake. Your long distance charges are going up, especially if it's down with the States or something like that. Where if you're doing an operator assistance with the individual, what you've got is on a tea time 10 o'clock on Saturday. You got anything around there? And the guy can, within about 4 keystrokes, say, yeah, we got something about 9:37 or 10:06. What would you like, sir? That's what they like. They like that service. So the operator assisted do that a lot quicker. Okay, so those are basically the 2 types of systems. Has anybody got any questions on the overview of those or comments? You can ask us, yeah, go ahead.
The operator assistant one.
Yeah.
More than one station on that.
That's right, yeah. And what we'll do is near the end, we'll kind of have some case studies of some of the installation sites we've got. Like 27-hole golf course with Wolf Creek. We've got one in Prince Edward Island where there's 3 golf courses and they're all tied in through phone lines. And they can all do bookings. Shadow Whistler, where again they got a network. And John will talk a little bit about Eagle Rock, where he worked with the system on a standalone operation. So we'll kind of go through and how all that information flows, or more than one person can do a booking, management, including reports, etc. All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay. When you're doing a booking, what's the first thing? How many of you guys have worked in golf shops as assistant pros? I'm get a little bit comfortable. Just 4 of you guys? Okay. The other can you help me give a little bit of idea too? Like your other ones are, like what are you are you golfers and you're looking to be assistant pros? Worked in the locker rooms or the, management studies? All right. So we're doing a booking in the system. You want to be able to put in some information, and all that information you want to be able to report on. So whatever you're putting in, you want to be able to make sure you get it out in some sort of fashion that you're not just putting in garbage, you're getting garbage out. So you want to keep track of what type of bookings are you doing, how many dollars are you bringing in, and what type of services are you selling. Okay, so all the information we put in, when we're putting it in, it's got to be put in fast with operator assisted. And that's basically, I'm going to talk a lot about that type of system today, operator assisted. So the information we're putting in has got to be in there fast. It's got to be something we're going to be using in the future. We're not just putting information for the sake of putting in information. So the first thing when we're doing a booking, we've got to ask is what type of a booking is it? And it's usually a member, a non-member, or a tournament booking. That's what we're doing. So if it's a member, what we can do is we can just pull up a list of all our members. And if we say it's Smith, we can just type in SM, goes down to Smith, and put him in. If it's a non-member, we'll have to put in the person's name. So that's the first thing we have to do. Member, non-member. And if it's a tournament, we can specify a tournament. And because there's a lot of corporate tournaments happening right now, and there's a lot of revenue in corporate tournaments, we want to be able to track that tournament and make sure we offer that tournament a lot of service. So if we specify it as a tournament, what you can do is you can put in, like, comes up with a whole blank page, and you can put as much information in there as you want. Do they want long drives? Do they want closer to the pin? What's their fax number? Who's the contact? Do they want the buffet? Do they want a prize table? Are they going to get so many rentals, so many right-handed rentals, so many left-handed rentals? All the information will be available there. So when that tournament comes up in the week, what you can do is you can do a listing of all the tournaments that are happening. You give one out to the pro shop so they can set up the KPs and the long drives. One out to the banquet facility so they know what type of numbers they're expecting. And then one for management so they can as well follow up on service and for all the way to accounting. So that's the first thing when we're doing a booking. We've got to know what type of booking are we doing. Then what we do is we ask, would you like a cart, sir? Okay, because we're always trying to produce revenue for the pro shop and for ourselves. So if he wants to book a cart, we can put in like 1, 2 power carts. And what this will do is like through the day, we can make sure that we don't overbook our power carts because it will just be displayed right on the screen, which you see. And that's just a little bit of transaction. I know a lot of the pros, they have their own carts, so they want to keep track of that. And they don't want to make somebody upset by overbooking carts because when they get there, they're expecting to have a cart and all of a sudden they don't have a cart.
When you're getting all this information from somebody, you send them a fax or something and say, this is the information that I'm going to be asking you for? Like you're talking rentals and clubs and stuff, you know, most guys are going to go, I want to book a tournament. How many people?
Yeah.
They're not even sure how many people they want, let alone how many clubs they want.
Yeah, good question. Go ahead, you want to answer that, John?
Yeah, we send out a tournament format sheet for every single tournament we do, requiring a deposit from the tournament, and then within a month of the event, we require all the final numbers, full payment, carts, rentals, everything like that.
And actually what we're looking at doing there for the future, again, we're always being driven to improve our software. Because there's technology now where you can send faxes through your computer. So what we'll do is we'll have a contract that'll be kind of a standard contract you can fax to the person, and then they can fax it back, and you can put it right in the tournament details or in the computer after they've signed it. So like you can always have that going back and forth electronically and almost eliminate some of the paper that you're requiring. And always make sure that another thing that you do is you always have a template on that blank piece of paper. Always make sure you're asking certain questions. So you're not missing anything, so there's no surprises when that tournament comes. The guy says, oh, I wanted 10 left-handed sets. Well, you forgot to ask him how many left-handed sets he wanted, and you guys only have 5. So now you got 5 guys there that are upset. Because I've come all this way now to went out to Shadow Whistler, and I don't have golf clubs now. So eliminate all the surprises. So we got the cards, we have the member type. The next is for to handle no-shows, they always ask, with our system now, they ask, what's your visa number? And I know I'll say like Wolf Creek, what they say is, the guy says, ring, ring, hi, I don't have my visa number. And the guy, Ellie will say, well, if you don't have a visa number, sir, we can't do your booking. And the guy says, well, why is that? He says, well, because it's the new computer system we have. I can tell you guys, like, you can skip through that field if you want, but they tell that to the person, because most people say, oh, a computer system. And they think, oh, okay, yeah, I guess we can't fool that. So they always say that you don't have one initially, but sooner or later it comes out. And the old credit card, oh yeah, I guess I found it, it's right here. So they get the number and they get the expiry date, and that's stamped right onto the booking. So if there's a no-show, what they can do is they can process that, whatever, for 50%, whatever for a no-show. Again, that's optional. You don't have to do that. But just because of the threat that they might do that, it's good enough for them to say, oh, I better make sure I phone them if I'm not going to no-show. So that's an important thing. For no-shows, I don't know, have you ever thought, how many, like for no-shows, how many of you guys have booked a time when you were really young? I know you guys wouldn't do that now. Booked a time and it was on Saturday morning, a good golf course, and then never phoned back because your friend got a better time at a different golf course. Anybody here ever done that? Okay. If you start adding up the numbers, you want to say, well, we're going to get a computerized system here. Does this thing ever pay for itself? I kind of went through some numbers here. If we have, let's say 3 groups of, can I write on this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to erase already. If we have 3 groups of 4, and then let's say it's on a nice Saturday, and that time could have been filled 15 different calls. But they always said, no, we're booked up, we can't get you on. So if we have 3 groups of 4, we've got 12. And these 12 they no show on that Saturday. Okay, let's say we're not Kananaskis, but let's say it's $30 green fees, so we're at $360 a day that we're losing. Okay, so $360 a day we're losing. If we multiply that out, it happens only twice a week. Okay, it only happens twice a week, which is not very many. We got $720 a week. We're losing about $3,000 a month. And if we're in Alberta, we only have a 6-month season, so we're losing $18,000 a year. And if we're in BC, we're probably losing around $30,000 a year. That alone will pay for the system on your no-shows. Because what the system will do, 1 is with the credit card, and 2, if the guy does this twice, has a no-show twice, it keeps track of that in the database. And if he tries to book the 3rd time and says, this person has no-showed twice, are you sure you want to continue with this booking? And if they override that and say, yes, we will have that for the guy to do the booking, because he said he's going to be here and he said he'll phone back and we got his visa number. We told him this time, you're going to get charged if you don't show up. Let's say the 3rd time, he doesn't show up, the system is set up now so you have to have a managerial code to override. So like the no-shows will drop dramatically with a computerized system. Because a lot of times if John's doing the booking or Ray's doing the booking, maybe they know, oh, John, he's on the phone here. I know he knows I don't show up usually, so I'll wait till Ray comes on in the afternoon, because Ray doesn't know me. So then they try to keep playing that game. So you'll find that no-shows will drastically drop. At Kananaskis, did they, if you have a no-show, do they charge you the visa number or your credit card? Yeah. $10 per golf. And is that?
That's if they cancel within 72 hours of the tee time. They get prior notice and they can charge.
Right, yeah, so that's good. And you probably have a lot of, or you don't have very many no-shows then? No.
That's right, just like that.
Is it a big revenue?
It can be.
Yeah.
Just that company.
Yeah, because the Kananaskis guys usually can fill it or something, right?
What do they do if it's closer to the actual tee time? Charge you full board on your visa?
$10 instead.
How's that like? That's probably what
Just
they
charge
get
after
some.
the fact.
Because at Glen Abbey, they charge you the full pop, don't they? And there's no rain checks, no refunds, nothing there when you do the phone-ins there. Yeah. But the minute you phone Glen Abbey, it's $75, I think. And it
Yeah.
goes through on your visa that same day.
And if it's snowing or anything,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
No rain checks,
There you
nothing.
go.
Come and buy souvenirs. That's it.
I think there was even Glen. I guess that's not for this course, but I think that with all even the competition, even in Ontario, like your top-notch golf courses, you won't be able to get away with that forever
Yeah.
because people just won't put up with the competition. Okay, what are some other things that, besides no-shows, what you can do and offer services to the client is do quick searches. Let's say the guy, he booked 2 weeks ago, and he can't remember what his tee time was. Was it 2 o'clock or was it 4:30? I can't remember. Sometime in the afternoon. You've done that too, huh?
Well, no, but 4:30, it's pretty hard to.
Yeah, he says that sometime in the afternoon, I can't remember. So what you can do is you can press one key, well, you should be able to press one key, type in, what's your name? Your last name?
Lindsay.
Lindsay? So what you can do is you can type in Lindsay, and it pulls up all the Lindsays, and it says, okay, sir, you're playing at 237. You had 4 and you got 2 power cards. So instead of flipping through your tee sheets, and Lindsay, was that spelled I-N-D?
S-A-Y.
S-A-Y, okay. Good, I don't need that if I'm on the computer, but if I'm looking at the tee sheets, and I can't read John's writing because he was in a real hurry when he put it on the tee sheet. As well, when Ray was fixing some clubs around the counter, he spilled his coffee on the tee sheet, so it kind of smeared a little bit. So you're trying to sit there figuring, well, it looks like you're about 3/30th, I think, sir. What with the computer, you won't have that problem.
I found that to be embarrassing when the customer shows up, you're trying to find his name in there, and you can't find it because it's misspelled on the
Yeah. And it's not too professional either when you're looking at a sheet like that. You have something, Ray, that you didn't spill that coffee, that was the other guy.
No. We hang our board, you can't spill coffee on our board.
Another thing John was saying, maybe you want to relate that, you ever had where there's emergencies?
Yeah, one thing about the system that's really helped us is if a member is out playing with a guest, as the guest comes in, we type his name in one of the cells. And if his wife or his babysitter or anybody phones, we can do a quick lookup for that name, and we can get out to the golf course and we'll get them and relay the message to them.
Yeah.
On a tee sheet, on a piece of paper tee sheet, when you check in 4 people, you got 4 check marks. Doesn't give you a whole lot of information to go with for the rest of the day.
Is that why Wolf Creek, they ask for everyone's name, book
Yeah.
in there?
Yeah.
You never know. And with the tracking of members and non-members, it just really helps.
I think one other reason they do that at Wolf Creek is that they always call their people to the tee. Because it kind of makes the guy think, okay, I'm playing Wolf Creek now, and Wolf Creek's a bit of a resort course, and a lot of people like to play it. When you get called to the first tee, there's that bit of an aura that it makes you feel a little more important. That's right. So for that first few minutes, or that 7 minutes, they feel really good. And Ellie is the girl that's usually doing the bookings there in Wolf Creek, and she's a lot better typer than Clint and Steve are up in the pro shop. So you might as well do it at the beginning if you've got them. So she's doing the typing there. Because it kind of eliminates the feedstock a little bit at Wolf Creek at the pro shop for them having to do their typing. Because they always like to call her. Yeah, that's a good question. As well, when you're doing the bookings, you got the telephone number in there. Let's say that we've got somebody booked 6 months in advance and it's at 2 o'clock and the rest of the day is open. And it was just one foursome. But now a tournament wants to play on that same day and they're like 4 months in advance. And they want to play on that day with 144 players between 1 and 4 o'clock. And you have this one tee time in there. What you can do is you can go look at that cell and say, okay, there's the phone number. Let's phone and ask these guys if they wouldn't mind playing earlier in the morning or the next day, or give them something to help them. Make sure that they say yes, so we can get that tournament in there. So that's another reason that you can use telephone numbers as well as emergencies. The other thing is when you do a booking, just like a Canon asks through any system, like if you've ever done an airline reservation, you get a confirmation number. So this number is unique to that booking. If the person phones up, like there might be 30 Lindsays that are playing at that golf course. What you can do is with the confirmation number, you can search by it, and it'll immediately find the booking, because you're only going to have one person, or one person for that booking with that confirmation number. Let me back that up. Confirmation number booking. You're going to have one booking per confirmation number. You'll be able to find it immediately. All right. Another big thing for computers is especially if you're in this course for management, is on the reports that you can generate with it. So what I'll do is I'll just pass out these reports and we'll go through them. Just take one, just leave the rest at the end, we'll collect them later.
So on your system, then you get everybody's name
Yeah,
on the punch in.
that's an option.
It's not a bad one.
John, maybe just mention that. Double progress.
With the,
Okay, John just wanted to say something there about bookings when Ray asked, like, entering all the names into the system.
it probably sounds like it's a big hassle and it takes quite a while to book these names in there. But when you do the initial booking, you only need the one name. You're gonna book it under Mr. Smith. And as Mr. Jones walks in and says, I'm playing with Mr. Smith today, you can type in the name Jones, so it shows each one in their appropriate cell with the tee time. And you don't have to do it all while you're on the phone making the booking. You can do it right there as they check in. So it's just a point of typing in their name as they show up. And it's very easy and very clean, as you'll see from these reports.
Yeah, that's probably true. Like, when I say Wolf Creek, it's because they have that girl down there doing all the bookings. She's only doing that. If you had just one computer in the pro shop and you're booking out and doing bookings at the same time, you don't want to have to be entering all the person's names because you just don't have the time for that. So that's given the option in the system. Okay, with reports, because golf is such a business now, you want to be able to do marketing. And with all the information that you're gathering now as you're using the system, it'll help you target and market your golf course better. The first page you've got there, it's got the report menu. So we've got the daily timesheets. And let's see here. Okay, the daily timesheets, you kind of look, if you look, what, on the third or fourth page there, right here, it looks like this. That's what the timesheet looks like. And you always want to have a hard copy each day in case the power goes out, the computer goes down, so you're still able to know who's on the tee and what openings you've got for the day. So list all the foursomes, the times, and anybody that's blank, you have to leave a line there so you can write in their name. Okay. So that's your daily timesheets. Always do that. Always make a hard copy. Don't just go electronically. Make a hard copy either every night or before you start in the morning. Trust me, I know that you're not going to listen to that and hear that. You're going to do it once, and all of a sudden there won't be anything for the day because the computer went down, and you're going to say, geez, I remember when that guy said that. John, do you have any experiences like that?
Just once.
Sorry?
What's the backup for the whole system crashes and then
Well, what you should be doing, you should use this like, this is the heartbeat of your business. There's all these, well, most of your business. There's all these green fees. So what you want to be doing is backing up all your information. And if you're on a network, usually you'll have what's called a tape backup. So it'll back up, it should automatically back up, let's say, every night. And then if you don't have a tape backup, if you're just a small operation, there's usually a utility in the system that allows you to back up to a floppy disk. And you should do that. If you're booking like, let's say, $100,000 worth of green fees every day, how often would you back up? Would you back up every day? Yeah, exactly. It's whenever you think, when I do backups at our office, I back up as often as when I think, geez, I would be sick right now if we lost all that information. So sometimes you have really heavy loads that we're backing up every day. And sometimes we're not doing a lot of changes and we'll back up once a week. Like during November, December in Alberta, you don't need to back up every day unless you're doing a lot of pre-bookings for the summer. But that's when you should do a backup. Is when in your stomach you think, oh, boy, if I lost that stuff now, I'd be sick.
And the other thing about backing up, we have, in my shop, I've got 3 computers, 2 that we're using constantly. We back it up every day, and I make sure whoever's closing takes those discs with them in case there's a fire or anything.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
Exactly, yeah. Have one copy on site so you can do a quick restore. But like John says, have a copy off site. I don't know if you remember the tornado in 1987 here. What happens is a lot of people had backups, but they had their backups in their office. So like when the tornado hit some of those businesses, like it just blew up their buildings. And so they lost everything still. So always make sure you take a backup off site. Just have one on one site and one on another. If there's anything that I say to you about computers, make sure that you do backups. I hear probably once every 2 weeks from somewhere in Canada, they say, Kirk, we lost our data, our hard disk went down, we had a fire. Is there any way we can recover that? And I have to say to them, well, did you make a backup? And they said, well, yeah, we made one, I think it was in May. And there's no way. You can't recover it, it's gone. So please, write that down if you have an exam or anything else. Just have one question. Do you make backups regularly? Yes.
1 month.
That's right. Okay, so that's daily timesheets. Even though it's an electronic system, still have the manual system. It's also good for the T-sheets is you give them to starters. Starters or course marshals, so they can take the T-sheet out onto the golf course and make sure that they're keeping, everybody's keeping up. And did you tee off this time? What's your name, sir? My name's Mr. Jencess, so they can see, okay, yeah, you teed off at 2:07, you're on time. Okay, daily storage reports. That's more for the private clubs. What that does is like if you have members that are doing bookings or using it for the balloting system, which we'll get into later, what it'll do is it'll do a list of all the members that are playing in the morning and in the afternoon with their name and their storage number. So what you can do there is give it to the bag boys, and they can make sure that all the bags are pulled for each morning, and who's ever playing in the afternoon have their bags pulled for the afternoon. Again, it's just service that we're doing. Something I know that Windermere does, and I'm sure Ray does at the Highlands.
Well, we've got a nightmare at our place, but because our shop is above, club storage is down below.
Yeah.
So the kids, I mean, we've tried, but it's difficult. I can see where if we had a report like that, that would make it wonderful. Because you get a rotten day, half the people don't show, and I mean the times that we do pull bags out is usually if we have a shotgun. We'll pull everybody's bags out then because we know they're going to be there.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem we have is that we're so limited to the space in our club, outside our club storage area. We end up putting bags around the side, and then all that does is people really wonder where their clubs are gone. So this would be great.
I know down at the Windermere where I play, they have got lots of space, so they pull all the bags. And
Yeah.
our bags are where actually we're walking right back along the pro shop there, so we can take the bag almost as we're walking into the golf course. So it works a little easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. The no-show report, that's the revenue one. That's the one you want to keep track of who's not showing up. We've gone over that. The override report is if somebody's not showing up and it says, are you sure you want to book this person? And the guy says, yeah, book them, it's no problem. You can see who's doing the overriding, and you might ask a question. Yes, sir.
One question about booking. Does it,
Yeah.
do you have to log on to the computer when you go on? Like, does it let you know who made the booking?
Yeah.
Who was your staff?
Yeah, when you do a booking, first it'll ask you what your ID number, your password is, and with your password it realizes like your John Fram. And that John Fram gets stamped onto that booking. And anytime you go back and relook at that booking, it says Mr. Jencess booked at 3:06 and John Fram made the booking. So you can see who did make the booking. And it does, again with the users, you've got different privileges as well that we'll get into a little later. That is assigned to each one of the passwords and each one of the users. Okay. Tournament listings, that's that one where we talked about where each week or 2 weeks before, if we want to track how many tournaments we got happening this next week, we have to get set up for KPs or long drives, etc. We can have that all printed out so we're ready to go. When the tournament comes in, we can hit them on the run and there won't be any surprises. Service is the big thing. The system allows you to service your clients in a lot of ways. It's a tool that you can use. It's not just there just to take bookings, but it's a tool. And golf courses like John, that we like to interact with a lot and get information, they keep telling us different ideas on how the system's actually helping them out. Because if you're a little creative with it, it can help you out in a lot of different ways. Okay, performance reports is what we've got. And that's down below here. So you got booking statistics report. I think that's the second page there. Looks like this. And what you got, if we look at, let's say, July 23rd, you can see with this golf course, they do a lot of business on the weekends. I guess that's all the data we got. We took out all the weekdays. But on July, let's say 24th, up on the top there, it shows you got 158 members. Okay, did a booking for that day. He had 28 non-members booked. It's like at the top there. Okay, so on the top there, if you're a semi-private golf course, which this looks like it is on July 23rd, we've got them at the top. How many member bookings are we doing for a given time period? So we've got, let's see, July 24th, we've got 158 people that were non-members, or that were members, I should say. We've got 28 non-members. We had no tournament rounds that day. STT is starters times. The system allows you to have starters times. We don't use starters times there. So we had a total of 186 bookings that day. So at the end of the year, what they can do is they can see all this. And let's say we had, how many members rounds rate do you have a year about? Any idea?
Ballpark, I'd say total rounds would be about 34,000, and we probably would have roughly 30 of that member rounds.
Okay. So 30,000, let's say we had 4,000 non-members, and we had, whatever, 2,000 tournament rounds. I know one thing that Riverside and Edmonton did, which is a public golf course, is that they used to sell their 1-year annual green fee for $150, like when I, back in '88 or something like that. And a lot of those guys that play at Riverside do laps. Just continues to go round and around and around and around. And they didn't realize how many member rounds were actually being played until they did a study. And like they had this number was way out of whack for what people were actually paying. And if they would have had this system, would it be able to track it for them? They would have been able to see what we should be doing is raising the member fees to about $500 because they hardly had any non-member rounds. People that were going to be playing Riverside just bought passes for the year and just continue went around and around. It was really out of whack on how much they charged for a yearly pass and how much they actually charged for a green fee. So now I know what they've done. It's up to about $600 or $700 now. Because some of the individuals were playing like 150 rounds a year, 200, and some of the seniors 200 rounds a year. And you're not making any, like that's $1 a round. You're not making any money on those guys. They're losing big time. So systems like that can help you out. If you're not doing very many tournament rounds, see at the end of the year, geez, we're sure not doing very many tournament rounds. You should probably do some marketing to the corporate companies. Increase your tournament rounds. There's a lot of revenue you can do, and a lot of exposure for your golf course you can get in tournament rounds. Other bookings is like it always allows you to put in, let's say you're doing marketing. You're a very aggressive golf course, you're a very aggressive manager, you're a very aggressive pro or owner. What you can do is you can track how many are coming from Alberta. Let's say we want to track how many are coming from BC, how many are coming from the United States. So when we send out coupons, what we can do is we can also say, set up a category when we go to other booking. We want to track how many, what's the name of the coupon company, John?
Gold Sports Pass.
Gold?
Sports Pass.
Okay, Sports Pass. We want to see, we're paying, how do the coupons work?
2 for 1 usually.
2 for 1, and we're saying we're paying how much for that? You want to pay for that? Okay, 2 for 1. There's going to be a lot of coupons for Eagle Rock next year, so you guys all keep your eyes open for those. A lot of rounds next year. But let's say we got 2 for 1s. We're saying, geez, we're getting a lot of Sports Pass coupons. We say, well, they must be really doing a lot of marketing themselves. We'll stay with those guys. But all these other coupons that we're getting, we're only getting 1 or 2 of these, like a week. So it's really not worth us to be in that one. So what you want to do is kind of eliminate your coupons and making sure you're getting quality, not quantity. What this system will do is allow you to keep track of which coupon companies you want, where the people are coming from. Let's say you do a advertising down in Seattle or Spokane. You say, come book with us, and we'll give you 1 night's accommodation if you book like 3 days with power cards. And you have to spend $1,000 for that. What you can do is, after the coupons expired, let's say from August 1st to 31st, September 1st, you want to see, well, how well did that coupon do? We spent $1,000, how much did we make? And if you made $2,000, you want to say, yeah, that's a good idea, we should do that again. If you made $200, it's kind of obvious. I don't have to tell you that, we have to probably look at doing something else. So it's really easy to monitor and track where your dollars that you're spending and your time that you're spending is making it worthwhile for you. Lindsay. Is it Mr. Lindsay or Lindsay's your last name?
That's my last name.
What's your first name?
Mark.
Go ahead, Mark. Yeah.
Hey, do they have a lot of coupons down there? Because I went to school down there last year and I never saw any coupon deals and I never heard of anyone using them because everything's so cheap.
Yeah.
You just, you get around for $10 or $11 and a cart for $7.
Where's that?
Well, Indian
Seattle?
Canyon's cheap.
Spokane.
Yeah,
Down
Washington.
Washington.
So everything was really cheap. I mean, even the big courses, like, I played the Coeur d'Alene and it was $15. So
There are a lot of coupons around. I know that in Alberta, there must be a dozen different coupon books you can get onto now. And some are really popular, some are crazy. They all have different offers.
maybe it's just that because I didn't see him because I was playing with the school and stuff, but I never even knew of the coupon offers till my first day of class in Alberta, because we don't have them in BC or Penticton either. I've never.
They
seen
just
them.
started here within the last couple of years. They've really gone crazy.
Yeah.
That Gold Sports Pass they're into skiing, golf, everything now, and it's Hale Irwin's a good pass. Yeah, it's worldwide.
You put all that information under other, say, or?
Okay, yeah, what you can do with that, what other does is in our system, when you look at, you go member, and we'll all do this like eventually here, we'll all come up to the screen and do a booking. But when you go member, non-member, tournament, and then there's other, when you choose other, what it does is it pulls up a table of all the things that you've put in there in the utilities package. So where you can say Alberta, BC, coupons, anything that you want. So it'll come up on the report with different abbreviations. So like that's a table that you build as the other bookings. Like everybody's different. Like I know down in Victoria, well, let's say Shadow Whistler, what they do is a lot of bookings with hotels, packages. So they want to track like which hotels are selling the most. Because therefore we might give them a bit of a preference on the next arrangement that we make. So they want to see where the revenue is coming from. Like coming from this hotel or this hotel. So it allows you. And you can imagine doing that manually. Like it would be a nightmare to pull that up. Where in a computer system, like it'll take it 20 seconds to look at any date scope. You say, what's the start date you want to look at? What's the end date you want to look at? And and it processes the report in 20 to 30 seconds. Like, I know if I owned a golf course, I wouldn't even dream about not having an electronic system set. Because when Mark there says, like, they don't even have coupons because everything's so cheap down there, well, eventually, like, with 65 golf courses ready to say, Brandon, already?
60 by end of next year.
Yeah, 60. It's going to drive the prices down here too. So we better start making our marks on the industry and in the marketplace. As well, we want to start opening up new markets and trying different things. We want to be able to monitor where our people are coming from, so we know where to target. No question. It comes with certificate. All right. So, any questions on the booking statistics report thing? What's that? Oops, I have that on it. If I told you that what that was, then you know what some of this information was in there. So it's a golf course, no golf course. Yes, Mark.
I was wondering, like, if a program up here would work where you could buy a pass for, I know not for private courses, but maybe all the public courses, and it could be used at anyone. Like, that's how they do it in the States. Like, some courses are owned by a county, some are owned by the city. So you could buy a county pass or city pass, and they're good at any course in Washington that's a city course or any course. It's a county course. So you can go play all over the area, but it's like a membership. You can use it anywhere.
Well, the problem here is there isn't all that many
Many
city
city courses. They're all
and
private,
county-owned courses. They're all privately owned, or the land is leased from a town or something like that. So that'd be a little difficult to do. But these coupon books have got so many. Like the Gold Sports Pass must have 200 golf courses on there for different offers, so you can go all over the province and play. It works out pretty well. I'd say the same if you had the book and you're taking your part.
Yeah.
As long as you had the book.
I do know, like, Mark, for Edmonton here, like, you've got Rundle, you got Victoria, you got Riverside. You can buy a Tri-City pass. You play the 3 different golf courses. And I think one of the things, when all these golf courses are private, some guy says, well, this guy buys a pass, but they all can play my golf course, and you still want your equal share of the revenue. For 80% of the rounds are played on the pass on my course, and I only get 50% of the revenue.
Yeah.
Like, with the system, you can see that. Okay, well, we're all going to get together here and have one pass, and we'll break up the revenues of that pass by what percentages of the rounds are played on our systems. You can't do that manually. Maybe with electronics, we'll be able to do that in the future. What's going to be called the Lindsay Pass? Lindsay All-World Pass.
If you do it, I get a percentage.
No question. Taking business courses, good. Okay, booking statistics report. Next one is the hourly performance report. And what this does, it looks at all the days and between the different hours. So you can see where is my peak time and where is my slow time. So if I look at this report, you guys tell me, where's the peak time here on this report where most of the players are playing? Where we have our heaviest load.
Oh, maybe
8 to 9?
6 till 11.
Okay, how many say from 7 to 9? 7 to 8? Good. How many say from 8 to 9? How many say from 1 to 2?
That's what I said first.
Okay. That's right. So when we're doing our coupons and we're marketing ourselves, we know that we don't want to, for example, we can say not valid between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Because we're usually full by then anyway, for those times. What we want to do is put those coupons in our marketing into our slow times. So we would say between, for example, like 11 and 12. Play between 11 and 12, you get a 2 for 1. Okay? We don't need to go a 2 for 1 between 1 and 2. Okay, so all this information is helping us market our our golf course better. As well, what it does on the bottom there, it shows you what the actual bookings were and what the potential bookings are. So it tells us that over that time scope we chose, like on the top there, it says May 14th to August 14th. We can see that we had 2,848 potential bookings, and we had 1,595 actual bookings, which gave us a 56% of our golf course was booked. It also helps us set goals for next year or next month for the same time period. So let's get that up to 65, so we can start setting targets. We sit down with the whatever board of directors, the owner, and tell them how you're going to do it. You can show them these stats, and you'll be able to sell your case a lot easier. Okay, any questions on that report? The next report is the daily timesheet. We've gone through that one.
There's a little marks.
Oh,
David and marks.
what was your name? First name?
Bruce.
Bruce? What Bruce is asking, there's 1107 there on page 1. Anselmo is got a little arrow there beside him. What that means is that booking started at 11 o'clock, and 1107, 1115, 1122, all the way down to 1137 where it says Frank Wilson. That's all a continuous booking. They all booked together, so like they booked whatever 6 groups there. That shows that they were all together. So they're the same group.
How do you tell if it's, like just by looking on the star sheet, how do you tell if it's like 2 groups of 2 or, like, because you said that some groups won't check in their names.
Right.
So like, is this actually like a 937, is that actually a foursome that only 2 people put their names in, or is that actually a twosome?
That's a twosome. We're Norm Petrin and Joe Sykes,
Yeah.
and then you got 2 lines. What looks to like happened there is you had a foursome and then 2 people canceled out because your day was fully booked there. So like that's just a twosome. So you got an opening of 2 there that you can fill in. Did that answer your question? Is that what you're asking? But if you're looking at, like, let's say 8:30, where you got 4 names across, I can't tell if that's 1 foursome or 2 twosomes.
So you guys,
Yeah.
This is done from a ballot.
This is a weekend.
Just
Saturday. This is-
Country club?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so, so like, I guess what this is, John's saying is, recognize a lot of the names here, this is from a balloting system. Doesn't matter whether it was input through a ballot or input through booking. But even on either system, you can't tell whether it's a twosome or a foursome. The one thing,
how do you tell then, like, let's say, because you had said in the beginning that you could book by just using my last name, and then
Yeah.
as my foursome comes in, you put their names.
right,
Let's say they didn't, you print out your sheet that morning and they haven't put their names down.
Right.
Does it show you that, oh, that's a foursome?
Actually, what happens is, this is a straight line of your non-booking.
stand up,
And when
John.
you get,
Stand up, John.
what you'll end up with is a bunch of dots here, if it is an actual booking with, let's say, pram in front with 3 openings, they're all dots. That it's actually a foursome if they're straight lines, it's an open time. You'll see once we get on the computer that everything's color coded, so everything pops right out at it. On the paper, it's a little bit different. Once you've seen it twice or 3 times, it becomes quite easy.
So what is that, 1207, what is that?
These are all open times.
1207, we've got those little greater than marks again. What are those ones?
What that means is that Thompson, that's the same.
That's part of those other
Gail
6
Thompson
groups on
was
the other
thrown
page.
in.
There was a bunch on the bottom of there, either. Not part of that.
What is that, yeah? Like,
1207?
yeah, 1207 on page 2, Gail Thompson doesn't have one of those asterisks in front of her, and yet Anglevet does, Doran does, Francis does. What is, in that case, what does that mean?
Okay, well, looking at this,
Are
what,
they part of these other groups on the previous page or
no,
something?
no. Thompson Gale, she was the first person in that group.
Yeah.
And then Anglovec, Dorland, and Francis are part of that foursome. That was all one booking. It's kind of a bad example here because it's ballots, so there are all a lot of singles in here and doubles.
Gail got thrown in with 3
Oh,
guys
okay.
here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she wasn't originally part of that group then?
Right.
Oh, okay.
As well with the system, like, because this is ballots, it doesn't keep track of carts. It don't, but if you were booking power carts, this is a private club, but if you're booking your power carts, it would have P2 in front of the name for power carts 2. It'd have W2 for 2 walking carts if you book that. So it'll be able to say as well, like, whether the guy wants power carts or not, so you can have those ready with his bag of those. Okay. And you can see September 10th, there's not many people playing after 2:15 because you can't get 18 holes in. So that's why that's so quiet here in Edmonton.
how long on the average would it take, like, when we do our ballots on Wednesday, we pick them up at noon, and usually by 3 o'clock, if we're lucky, they're done, so we can,
Ray, you've got to see me later on.
yeah.
Because what you do is, all the ballots are put in through our handicapping system. Like you'll notice on this sheet right here, how it's all interacted together, all the systems. The ballots are put in through the handicapping computers by the member, and therefore, like, you don't have to input all the ballots. But when the ballots are being input into the handicapping computer by the member, it checks, does this member have privileges on Saturday morning? And does somebody else put him in another group? So you can't get double ballots. But once all the ballots are input by the members into the handicapping computers, and you have it into your system where it's going to calculate the ballots, it takes about 50 seconds to totally process the ballots.
So in this case, a ballot is actually a ballot on the computer, it's not a written ballot.
Right, yeah. It's an electronic ballot, shall we say. Does everybody know what ballots mean? Who doesn't know understand what a ballot is? Everyone knows ballots are they're for private clubs usually? Everyone's got their own shot, first, second, third, fourth choices. Okay. The one thing too, like, if you're or whoever you are becoming pros here, what I'm hearing a lot is certain members always say, I always get the bummer time. And that guy there always gets the good time. And I buy as much stuff from you as that guy does. How come I don't get any type of treatment like that guy does? Like you're favoring him. And like this doesn't look good on the pro. So what the system does is it totally kind of takes the onus away, because the professional is doing the best job he can. Sure, if a guy bought a new set of Yonex, you're going to give him, a preferable time perhaps next weekend. But all this resistance that the pro's starting to build up, this hurts his sales, because he's doing the best he can, or one of his assistants, to make sure it's always even and everybody's getting fair treatment. The computer does it totally randomly. You can tell them the same random thing as the Lotto 649. There's no favoritism. And as well, what you can do is, let's say on Saturday, if you get a really good time, and you kind of get bumped, let's say I should look at it the other way. If you are bumped to your fourth choice on your ballot on Saturday, when you do the Sunday ballots, the system will say, okay, this guy didn't get a very good time yesterday, so we'll make sure that he gets one of his first choices on Sunday. So it kind of does, first day does a random sort, and the second day it gives you the option to do a weighted sort.
That's why it takes us 3 hours to do our ballots. That's what we do now by hand.
Better invest in Mondays, right?
Yeah.
No, that's okay. I'm not sure what Ray gets paid an hour, but if you go
Lots.
yeah. 3 times lots times so many weeks times so many months, it adds up to a lot of hours that you can be doing something else for servicing. And again, no matter how hard you try, you probably still get some resistance and some heat from some of the members.
So now when somebody comes into your shop, are they, you're booking or giving me a ballot for the weekend, do you log it in yourself then? Are you logging in a ballot for the weekend?
Yeah.
You punch in 11:59, and then do you punch in the numbers of the other players in your group? Is that the deal?
Okay, and we'll go through that. But what happens is you press one key, it says ballot, and it says what day do you want the ballot for. It defaults over to the Saturday, first Saturday on the calendar, and you press enter. Then it says how many are you doing your ballots for? And you say we're doing a ballot for 4 people. Then it says what's your first, second, third, and fourth choices. And it gives you 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, all the way down to 4 to 5. So you go your first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice. Then what you can do is you can either put in the members, so you got the date, the time, and how many. Now you got to put in the players' names to appear. And you can either do it by their share number or their handicap code, or you can press one key for a lookup table for the member, and he can choose the members that he's playing with. And then what it does, it goes and checks those members, are you sure these guys can play? And also checks this guy isn't going in there twice. Because sometimes, like I know I'm down at the Windermere, I'll be on one ballot at 10 o'clock with the guy I know I'm playing with, but I played with another guy last weekend, and he assumes I'm playing with him again this weekend. He just wanted to have his ballot filled up, so I'm on there twice. So it checks for duplicates and also checks for privilege level. Like, because in Windermere, there, the ladies can't play until noon. So if you're a lady trying to do a ballot at 10 o'clock, it says you can't do it.
Does it accept though, like at our place, we've got 15 lady shareholders.
Yeah.
So like how does it categorize everybody and say that she can play, but she can't?
Okay, what it does there is like you've got, in the system you got, when I'm talking louder because I'm trying to talk to everybody
Yeah.
here as well. You got 9 different types of categories. You got men's, ladies, junior men's, senior ladies, senior ladies, honorary. And what you do is you got that first category, you got like ME for men's. For example, LA, and then you got 9 others. Then you got another subset here that goes from 0 to 9. So like maybe if you're a shareholder, you're a level 9, you've got all privileges. So what it does is it looks at the level of privilege you've got with this number. It doesn't look at this part. So it's your subset.
So you punch all that in when you're setting the whole thing up then?
And that's your handicapping
My
computer.
full members are MELA 9s. My associate members or weekday members would be 5. So if they tried to enter they phoned one of my assistants. My assistant didn't know him, so they went with time for Saturday. It all of a sudden come up on our screen that this person was not have privileges for the weekend. So would you like your tea time pay, or would you like to play on Monday?
Right.
Because the problem that I think a lot of us always have, or at least I know we do at Highlands, until you get to know your members, your new members especially, you put down Jensen and Fram, and you find out that Jensen's fine, but Fram's a lady. Right, you've given them an 8:30 tea time. Yeah. Sorry, you can't play. And then it creates a really embarrassing situation, boom, first thing in the year, because we don't have a member list or whatever. I can see where that is going.
That's where we have one member at our place who's only allowed to play in the evenings. So we've set up a privilege code for him. Well, it's, I don't know, you worked out something with our owner. We set up a privilege code that he's a number 7, and he cannot book a time before 5 o'clock on any given day.
Just before it gets late. Yeah, I think, John, you've got, what, 5 different types of memberships you're saying at Eagle Rock there?
We've got men's and ladies, full and associate, then we have seniors, men's and ladies, juniors, this one guy who's got his privilege 7, and
They all have
and we
different
have corporate memberships.
And they all have different privileges. See, like, again, like Ray was saying, if you know your membership, it's fine, but a lot of times, like, there's what they call attrition, like, you have different assistants coming in and other assistants leaving, going for higher positions in other clubs. It's impossible to train your staff in the first 2 or 3 weeks on all the members types and all the member privileges that each guy's got. The system does that for you automatically. Again, it just, because it's embarrassing, like, for the lady and for the guys. Like, if I'm down there at Windermere and all the men are going out to their holes because it's the shotgun the first thing in the morning, and you get there and there's a lady there in your tee box. And, yeah, it is. Can I play through? Don't worry, the men can't play during a certain time as well when there's ladies. We're kind of picking them. But we're trying, I think Windermere's we might evolve here eventually here to letting ladies play. But there's a price for this too. All right. Any other questions on that then? Okay. The next report is your transaction summary listing. If you have your, I guess at this point, this here is just showing your transaction summary for your services, like your green fees. How much money did you make from your green fees? How much did you make from your cart rentals? How much did you make from your club rentals? It shows your GST collected and then your total. As well, if you had PST, it would show you your PST. This you can do for any time scope. Some of you are going to get into positions or contracts where you'll get a percentage of the green fees. So what you can do is over your contract period, you can run this report and take it to the, well, I'm sure the board of directors, like this is what you'll be going off of. Instead of trying to manually reconcile those old T-sheets, you'll be able to use this very quickly. And at this point, what I'd like to say is, any of you that are going to be getting systems, in the future, make sure that you get a system that will integrate all together. You don't want 4 islands. Like, you don't want a T system that works on this computer in your pro shop, a point of sale system that works on this computer in your pro shop. Maybe down here you've got your handicapping computer and whatever other systems like your ACPAC or your accounting. What you want to make sure is that they all talk together. That's the big thing now. Like Microsoft Office, your word processor talks to your spreadsheet, talks to your PowerPoint, which is your presentation software. They've all got to link together. Don't be buying something that you have to have a computer here to do this, a computer here to do this, and a computer here to do this. You have to enter all your membership data into this computer, then you have to enter all your membership data into this computer, and enter all your membership data into this computer. That is not the system you want to buy. We're not the only system that's integrated. There's about 2 or 3 other ones in Canada where they're all integrated for the golf business. Don't buy a system that's 4 islands. You want to buy a system that all integrates together. So you've got your database here, your membership database, and it all links together. It all comes, so you enter your membership database once, and all the programs access that data. So if somebody comes and joins your club, you enter it into this one once. You don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. If somebody changes their address, you don't have to have it, here's the old address and here's the new one, and 2 months later you forget which one's the new one, because you only changed it in one system. That's another thing that I would strongly make sure, maybe the second question if you guys have a little exam. Do backups, make sure that you buy a system that's integrated. 2 easy questions.
There you are, you know your final now.
Of course, part of the system there.
Okay, yeah.
We have the CD now for one part, and then it's the need for one part, and then it's down the road. And we'll be complicated with that.
Okay. With our systems, all these systems will stand alone. Like this, if you only need the tea time system, you can only have this one. If you only need the point of sale system at this time, you can buy this one. And then eventually, if you do buy this one, it's just like one command install for our software, and it recognizes that this system exists on your hard disk, and so it doesn't overwrite any files, and it just links in automatically. It'll link automatically in version. Yeah. And again, we're not brain surgeons. Like Microsoft Office does the same thing. As if you buy Microsoft Windows or Word for Windows, and then you buy Excel separately, they recognize that each system exists on the system. They don't overwrite any common files, and they start handshaking right away. That's a good question. Yeah. Because I know John, what he did, he made a big mistake down at Eagle Rock.
It wasn't me. It was our owner.
It's his own. Because he's got, like, with your pro shop, you want to have all your goods displayed, right? Because you want to sell stuff. You want to sell goods, you want to have a good, clean-looking shop. John's got one computer over here where he's got his point-of-sale system, and the computer takes up some space, like even just with monitoring the keyboard. Then over here, he's got a computer doing his tea times. It's like he's taking up some valuable counter space where he can be selling stuff for his having 2 computers where 1 computer would have been fine. If you need 2 computers, you should make sure that they're both there. You can do either one from each system. So if you want to sell something on both systems, you can be doing that. Or if you want to do bookings, like if you're really heavy in the morning doing bookings, you can do a booking on this computer and this computer, and they're networked together, sharing the same database. As well, it hooks into your accounting later on, so it goes all the way to your general ledger, to your statements, to your balance sheets, and then does analysis for you when you go to your buying show. When you're doing all your purchasing, the annual buying show. So we do all the analysis for you. All right. Any other questions on this then? Nope. Okay.
See, like at our place, Colin, we've got 2 of the 4 that are on here at our place. I have my own package, which is similar to the one they sell here. Ours is called General Store. But the ones that the clubhouse have, we use the handicapping one, which almost every club in the city use. And then we also have the Tourway system.
That's Mike on it.
Huh? Mike, sorry. And so you don't have to have the whole blanket package. In other words, you can just pick certain ones.
Yeah.
and the one that Clubhouse has for food and beverage is totally different again, because it talks to the kitchen and integrates that way, but it's different again.
And actually, that's right. With the food and beverage system, there isn't usually much sense in having that hooking into your pro shop. So what it does is it usually, it'll sit out here like your food and beverage in your lounge, but they'll all hook into ACPAC if you want to get one financial statement. But some of you, like your pro shop is your own business, and then you have the clubhouse administration. So you don't really need this link here between the systems to your accounting software.
Well, it might be a link if you had for tournament arrangements.
From your administration to your
From your food and beverage to your pro shop.
yeah.
That way you wouldn't have to send hard copy from one to the other. You can pick it up really quickly. So many people are coming in and they want this from this.
Yeah, that's a good point for as far as scheduling and things like that. And we just did an installation out in Victoria at Olympic View Golf Course where they got a beautiful, I don't know if you played, anybody here played Olympic View? Yeah. Beautiful clubhouse. And they do a lot of weddings because they got beautiful waterfalls to take pictures and a big facility for doing weddings and any type of thing else. And the facility is another big revenue center. And what they've done by putting in our system is that they got all their tee time bookings, but with one key they can see if the facility's booked. So let's say that I'm a Safeway tournament and I want the facility for the morning to do our tournament, but then in the afternoon and the evening, I want to have a banquet to present awards. What they used to have to do is go running downstairs and say, on June 15th, are you okay there for having a tournament? And then the guy would go scrambling for the book. Yeah. Then you have to go running upstairs to the facilities and say, what about June 15th for you? Is it good? No, June 16th. And back, he goes back and forth, looking for this book. What they do now is they have it all in the system. You can see June 15th, you pull it up, and see how the golf course is free. And with one key, you go Alt-2, for example, and it shows you as a facility booked. And they're on a network, so it's both in the facilities, or where the banquet room is, and the director, and as well for the director of golf. So they can see it both, and they can very quickly service their clients, like especially for their large tournaments. And that was one of the big pluses for the system that they saw. They didn't have to go running, because you got those 2 stupid books. And first of all, you have to find it, and second of all, you have to sit there and go back and forth and back and forth. But now they just do with flip 2 keys. Yep, it's free. Go ahead. So there's a link there when you're saying to facilities. Right. I'm not sure as much for revenues. Okay. The next report is daily performance report. And this is just kind of a quick overview. Like it's similar, the hourly report that we saw before were between 6 and 7, 7 and 8. That was for all days. This is for a particular day, like just Mondays. If we're doing coupons here, looking at this report here, what days should we be doing? What days should we be doing coupons for? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday? Right. Yeah. So what you can do is you can see what percentage of the days are we booked. So if we're doing marketing, we can see that, okay, Wednesday perhaps is our slow day. Let's make sure our coupons are just for Wednesday. Okay. So you get the idea about marketing with reports like this, all the information you can use. Any questions about this report? No? Okay. Next one is your monthly report. And this is probably just to take a look at the load in your golf course. If you're for your maintenance crew and things like that, they can see, okay, the maintenance crew would need to look at this report. They'll know July and August will be our heavy months. But it gives you some idea for this. As well in our system, all these reports, these statistics reports, you can graph. So like if you don't want to sit there and look at numbers, like you'll have 6 to 7, 7 to 8 on a graph, on a pie chart. And so you can see graphically like where their different percentages are. It's a little more appealing for like a quick analysis instead of looking at numbers. And if you're doing it with the owner or something, instead of going over the report, you can see a lot simpler graphically. Great. Next page, if there's no questions, is your hourly performance report by day. Again, this would help you for your marketing. And these reports here are not like, what happened was that all the golf courses that are using our systems started saying, Kirk, we'd like to be able to do this, and we'd like to be able to do that. So from all the feedback that we're getting, like this isn't just reports that we've designed, thinking this is what the golf course needs. This is what the golf course are telling us what they're using. So you can, this is real-time stuff when you go into a golf course. This is what the people are using. This isn't what some software company decided, oh, let's put in these reports, and nobody ever uses them. These are reports that were asked by golf courses to produce for them, for their marketing. And you can tell the successful ones. The successful ones are always giving us input on how to make the system better. And they're the ones that are always full whenever you try to book a tee time. So there's quite a correlation between the input we get and the success of a golf course on how aggressive they market. All right, so that's some of the information that we can get through a system. So we're not just putting this information into new bookings instead of looking at a scratchy old tee sheet. It's being used all the way back through for reporting and marketing, and which has a result on the bottom line, which is what we're all in this course for. Yes, sir.
This last sheet here,
What's your name?
it's Mark.
Mark.
We're all Mark. The all hourly performance report. Aren't the total numbers, aren't they a little misleading?
Hourly performance, which,
The very last page? From 7 till 8 a.m.
yeah.
The total says 97.9%. By looking at that, you'd think, well, we're doing pretty good in that time slot, but what, 4 of the days you've got 0% booked. Like it's just taking the numbers that you do have bookings in, adding them and dividing them.
Are these stats just based on weekend or a holiday Monday?
And this is done for balloting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because this is from a private club that uses the balloting system. They don't use the system to book their members' times.
They only use it on the weekends.
Yeah, they only use it on the weekends, so.
From the country club, Mark?
Right.
That wouldn't, like, if you ran that report on my computer, that
Wouldn't come out like this.
unless it was a rain out or something.
Because all the way through these, everything, every time there's a 0, it doesn't count.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Otherwise it skews you. I realize that that day doesn't have bookings. If you're 100% this, 100% there, and you're 0 here, realize that you just don't use it for the system. So it would skew your percentage, skew your percentage at the end. All right? Good question, though. Good observation. Right. How are we doing here? Does anybody have any questions? Got a few more things we can cover here. And go into some case studies where we have systems in, and then go do some bookings on the computer. But does anybody ever thought, when I get into a golf course and there's an electronic booking system, I want it to do this, or I wish it would do this, or I'd like it to do this? And this is the question I've always wanted to ask about them.
How much?
How much? Good question. Next question.
When you were talking there a while ago and you're pointing at 18,000, 30,000, you said, when you're up in here, you can afford to pay for this. I think it might be a little much for you.
Yeah. If you're looking, okay, well, if we just look at a stat, let's say Eagle Rock, for example, and you're looking at, I think our systems are pretty competitively priced. John thinks they're too cheap. But if we were looking at a system, let's say a computer is going to cost you, a good computer, and a printer to print your receipts. You want a barcode scanner for your products? Okay, let's say $5,000. Just for the computer, the cash drawer, the barcode scanner. And for software, you're probably looking anywhere between $2,000 and $4,000. So for $10,000, you're up and running on a standalone system, and a good one. That's both for your inventory and your tee times. If you're just wanting your tee times, you're looking at maybe $2,000 for software, $2,500.
So it's all these ones, T-weight, sail weight, drift weight, tour weight, that all together.
Okay, well, if you want to, a little plug here for Jencess, I guess. Again, we're competitively marketed. I think if you went down to the States, I could charge 10 times as much, but the tee time system, if it's a non-network system, is $2,000. The point of sale system is $2,000. The tournament system, depending on how many modules that you want, like Callaway or Stapleford, but if you want everything, let's say it's $1,000. The turf management system is $900. The handicapping system is $900, which is fairway in the middle. Okay.
The two ways, 2,000 for the software and 5,000.
Yeah, that's right. $5,000 is for one computer, kind of like your point of sale computer at your pro shop that has your cash drawer and your barcode scanner and everything. And then if you're going to do networking, it requires a little more software, and it's probably another $2,500 to network it all together. So even if you're not at 30,000, you're still within 1 year you get paid for that entire system. Price, and John, we're going to be talking about this more, but price for us is like, computers are just getting to be where a lot of the professionals are from, and Ray's an exception with this point of sale system. How long have you had your point of sale system, Ray?
Well, the first one I got from my brother about 10 years ago, and I haven't spoken to him since. And I've got a new system that the general store I've had for probably the last 6 years.
Yeah. See, Ray's an exception. Like a lot of the golf pros that are in the system now, or in the industry now, have been using cash drawers forever, or cash registers, and they don't want computers in this shop. I've got away with not needing a computer for years. I don't need one now. So we're kind of coming up against that resistance a little bit. But there's, like Bill Penny is the perfect example. Bill's had 2 point of sale systems. Marnie's, his wife, has entered all the inventory in 2 different systems, which takes like 2 to 3 weeks of just data input. And we get the system there, we get the cash drawer there, we get the barcode there, we've got everything ready to go, all the pricing there. And Bill says, well, we'll do it next week. We'll go live next week, we'll run it cash register and computer parallel for 1 week, and then we'll go full just computer, point of sale. And his accountant's all excited because now he doesn't have to sit there and reconcile this stuff at the end of the year and produce these general ledgers and statements and balance sheets. Everybody's excited, Bill's excited. We get to the next week and Bill says, well, we're a little busy right now. Let's do it next week. And then next week, I'm away for the next 2 weeks. Bill's away again for another 2 weeks. And then we're in September, and now we're in October, and now he's in Taiwan, or Thailand, teaching golf. So I'm sure we'll probably go through the same thing. And Bill just has a little bit of a resistance. Like pros will have a little resistance to moving into this new system because they're afraid that, like, this is where their bread and butter is, and they're not familiar or comfortable with it. So the pricing of our systems are probably, for all the work that's gone into these over the last 10 years, are really inexpensive for anybody taking advantage of them now. And so what we're trying to do is get market penetration with these prices. And once one person gets it, then the next person gets it, and then the next person, it goes down, down, down. It was like our handicap. We started with Camrose. I wrote a little package where I grew up in Camrose. The country club bought it, and now we're in probably 80% of the golf courses in Alberta, and we're in 300 golf courses across Canada. Now, like Gallagher's Canyon bought it in 1988, and then now we own the whole valley for handicapping software. Like we're the official scoring system for the Ontario Golf Association, for the Alberta Golf Association. We're talking to BC, and so it just once they get the acceptance. Like before, nobody wanted to enter the scores into a computer. I want to do it manually. I know what my card says. I know what I'm doing, and then I want my handicap done by me and only me. Now you can't find somebody that doesn't use a computer to figure out their handicaps. The same thing when you are into the field, when you're professionals, there'll be point of sale systems that you won't have cash register. And if it's a cash register, it'll be hooked into a computer. For sure. So the industry's really changing it. Be ready for it. And one of the things is studying hard for this course. What are the 2 questions I'm going to ask on the exam? And what was the other one? Integrated system. Good. All right. What the 350 we go to, Ray?
Yeah.
It's about $1,000, and that pays for itself in a second. Because if you're doing the scoring for a corporate member, and now you do the scoring form, let's say for $1 a head, $1 a player, you'll make that up within 3 months. There's some assistants that are doing that kind of on the side. They bought the software themselves with the okay from the pro, and now they're doing the scoring and making revenue. Yes, sir.
What about, how much does it cost for the dimensions of the phone?
Jeez, that's a good question.
How much what?
Does it cost for the automated, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, press 3 for that? We ran against, does anybody know? I ran against that in Prince Edward Island, like where we did, we put those 3 golf courses all together online. And our system was coming in at about, for that system was about $20,000. And I think they were around 40 or 50,000 for the system, same system for 3 golf courses. Does that ring a bell about?
Yeah.
So it's substantially more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? The question to ask is probably why is ours so cheap? That, 40 to 50, well, why is that so expensive? I guess one reason, like remember when I said if I went to the States I can charge 10 times more? All these people in the United States like are on these touchstone systems and that's how much they'll pay for it. So they can't come up to Canada now and charge, yeah, $20,000. They've got to maintain that markup. So the other golf courses in the States aren't upset because they're selling it so cheap here. As well as the US versus Canadian dollars. But besides that rate, I'm not sure. It's technology. It's like Microsoft Windows. You can buy Microsoft Windows for $40. $40 you can buy Microsoft Windows. If you knew how many hours were in Microsoft Windows, you're buying for $40. It's unbelievable. But you have to buy our handicapping system for $900. You guys are thinking, wow, I can buy Windows for $40. I can buy your handicapping system for $900. It just doesn't make any sense really with pricing. It's one of the hardest things in our business. That's right. Any question or comment? That's where that's at. Okay, what do you figure? Would you go into case studies or have
Sure, whatever.
help bang in some bookings here? What do you figure?
Sure.
What do you guys want to do? Okay,
Sounds the obvious.
you've been doing good there so far. You just sleep a little bit.
No.
Okay, you guys want to do some things on the computer? Okay, what I'll do is, how many we got here? Maybe what I'll do is I'll only have 5, maybe a row at a time. John, if you want to maybe talk to him a little bit on how Eagle Rock and all that works. And I'll be doing bookings, so if you want to just kind of, maybe work together, sit with each of the rows there and design a scenario on, you want to do a tournament, you want to add a booking, delete a booking, things like that. Just like, the computer screen is only so big, and so you won't be able to see it if we're all coming up at once. All right? Okay, so if I get on the first row up here, we'll go into the booking system. The rest of you can talk to Ray and John.
Uncle Ray wants to see it swing by.
Okay.
Out near Beaumont.